gotta say, to the funniest people on television, the fact that the two of you are together for one of the, I would say, one of the most important shows, but doing it with humor and understanding, I think, is great. First, what is it like to work together? Because this is amazing. We're doing the upfronts and just seeing the both of you up on stage. It was just like, man, this should have been happening years ago.
Oh my God, you're so kind. I obviously feel incredibly grateful to be able to work with one of your best friends that you know so well. God, I mean, 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
So yeah, it's a complete privilege. And it creates for a different atmosphere as well. Like, you're straight to the vulnerability, you're straight to the truth, you don't give a shit. So
Yeah, we have a shorthand, and we're both like, I think like we both have the similar taste for danger. So it's kind of like one of us will say, I think I would like to try this, and the other person will be like, yes, and here's how we go even further. Yeah.
I like the way you use that word danger, because you kind of related that when you spoke to the audience, especially towards the men on the subject, because it could be dangerous the way you might want to look at it. But let's get to what this show is. What is the show called, and what is it about?
Small Achievable Goals is a half-hour workplace comedy about the unlikely friendship between Meredith's character Chris and my character Jan. We work in a podcast company, and we have nothing in common except for the fact that we're going through menopause, and so we become unlikely friends and kind of what each other needed through this crazy journey.
which I have to say is the true about menopause. Like, that's an actual fact that's in our show. That's the one actual fact that we can hold on to, is that really what gets you through this time in your life is your friendships.
You know what the amazing thing is? I was trying to sort of put a time period on it. Would we have talked about something like this in the 70s, do you think?
I mean, I can only talk about my personal experience. I was born in the 70s, but like my mom, for example, never talked to me about menopause. That wasn't the conversation that was happening. And I think even the past 5 years, 3 years, the past year, the shift towards it being more in the zeitgeist, people communicating about it on social media, is definitely something that I've never seen.
No, I haven't either. Now, were you the one who came up with this idea during COVID? I'm telling the story myself. I should let you tell the story.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I guess during COVID, I realized that some of the depression, anxiety, and existential dread that I was feeling was not just the situation in the world, but was internally happening in my body. There was something bigger going on, and so I started to realize that I was, in fact, going through menopause. And because I'm like a huge nerd, I am Dr. Google. So if there's anything that you would want to know about, I'm happy to Google it for you. I'll get you a diagnosis very quickly, and I am great. I have actually checked with doctors, and like, you're right. So anyway, I started to...
Great person to work with. Great person to have in the office. Yeah.
So I was trying to figure this out for myself, and everything that I was researching and finding out was so relentlessly negative that I started to get really, really depressed and overwhelmed. And I was sitting on the couch with my husband having some wine. I was like, it's just too big. I need to break it down into smaller pieces. Like, it just needs to be like small, achievable goals. And he was like, babe, that's a something. And I'm like, you're right, it is. I'm writing that down. That's a something. So it came through that, and through a desire to be like, I'm like, it cannot be this relentlessly bleak. So I decided it would be great to make a joyful comedy about menopause. And Mara and I wanted to do something together and had been sort of talking about what we could do. So I brought it to her, and she was like,
I love to talk about older vaginas and what goes on with them.
There's something... no, I'm just going to leave it alone. Anyways, as I keep this conversation...
What people do with older vaginas, they leave them alone. Yes,
and it's not, and they shouldn't. That's a vagina that knows some things, that has some experience. It's a vagina that should be looked at.
It knows
It's the caviar of vaginas.
And here's the thing. Do you talk, like, as, you know, writing scripts and stuff, do you talk to other women? Because when it comes to menopause, is it different from, say, different races, different cultures, different...
Yeah, it's absolutely, the cultural experience seems to be different, and different cultures experience menopause in different ways. So what our experience might be medically is not something that someone from a different part of the world or a different culture might be experiencing. And that can come down to, obviously, like DNA, food intake,
just cultural norms, the whole thing. It's almost like if you think about this as like kind of like a second puberty. So if you think about like no two teenagers experience puberty alike, you know, across the board, it's the same idea. So yes, it is culturally, racially, like in every way it can be different. And some women like really suffer, and like it can be 10 years or more. And some women just breeze through it and they're like, meh, didn't really bother me. So there's a wide range of things that can happen.
And in the series, too, are we also going to get a chance to see how men relate to this around you folks? And also maybe older children who may not understand what's going on with either mommy or grandma, or what? Are we looking at those kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the show that we're creating is a curious show. It asks a lot of questions. We're going to take the audience along with us, and it's everybody's experience, right? It's just like you're saying. So, people that are actually going through menopause and people that are in the world of that, because it affects everyone, and there's a conversation to be had on both sides.
Yeah, it definitely does. What do you hope folks are going to get from this?
I hope that this will be a show that, I don't think we can answer all the questions because there's millions of them. We wouldn't even want to try, and it's so varied. But I hope that we can, start the conversation. And so that I hope that people feel like, hey, maybe I can talk about this more. Maybe I'm not so alone in this. I thought I was going crazy. It turns out maybe this is what's happening. And that I think, too, I'm going to say, maybe you should talk to your friends.
I love that. Feel the same way, too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a show that asks a lot of questions. And I think we're really going to ask the audience to be curious about this conversation and to continue to have it with us. I think on Baroness, had the joy of having a conversation with our audience, and that's the type of show that we're trying to create with this one.
I hope you folks actually take this on the road as a conversation piece like you did in the upfronts, and just talking to the audience with this. I think this could be another extension to this show, because I think it's a conversation that is going to happen no matter what for generations to come. Folks, thank you so much for this interview.
Oh my God, you're so
Thank
lovely.
You. Would
Thank
you like
you
to
so
go
much.
on the road with us and be our tour manager, and we'll set it up? And
Rudy, thank you.
And just ask
Perfect.
us great questions. You can be the convener, and we'll.
And the biggest supporter that we have, that would be
and
great.
just giggling, that's also helpful.
I will definitely do that,
Great.
you folks. Thank you so much for the interview.
Your absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.